What's going on, guys? We're out here working on this thing, and as you can tell, it's been raining all freaking day. It's about 7:15 at night. Not exactly the best time to be out here working on the old GSX. Funny story, I'm driving home the other day and a guy stops me at the stoplight and says, "Hey, what are you running that thing, race gas? It smells really, really rich." And I said, "No, it's just regular fuel." And I come down here to inspect, and I find rust right there, leaking out the bottom of my fill neck. And of course, the second I come out here, the rain's going to pick up some more. Anyways, 3 bolts that come out in here, cover comes off, there's like a flange. This is all loosened up for the most part. If you look, I can wobble it in and out. I can move the whole thing down here. I'm going to have to take another 5 minutes and wait for the storm to pass so I don't get completely soaked, but we're going to have to pull that neck off, and I have a creative DIY solution, hopefully, to get me through the next couple of months. Maybe indefinitely. We'll just leave it this way. Sitting in the back seat, but I'm gonna retreat from this rain real quick. I'll see you in a second. All right, guys, so here is our 1.5 ID fuel hose. They sell this as a Daco part 80303. I got this from a CarQuest in Lake George, New York. It's a pretty stout piece. It's really strong and rigid, lots of wire reinforcement. This is what I'm gonna use coupled with this little section that I picked up. This is for the vent line. There's a split in the vent line, so I'm gonna remove that section and try to keep all that stuff intact because I want the vent stuff to work correctly. There's a guy that does make a stainless steel version of this. It's a replacement filler neck. Fillernecks.com used to have them, but they don't make them anymore for the GSX. They don't have any overstock or remans. I called Miller, a couple other places. You might find them from, you know, DSM Part Out or whatever. There's a ton of places that might. I called around, I couldn't find one, so maybe if you guys had better luck, somebody's always buying another DSM to part out. But anyways, we're going to use this, and what I'm thinking about doing is cutting off the section that's bad here. If we look down here, we have a good filler neck right up here, all the way, this is the vent line, all the way down. It starts getting rusty right here. So I'm thinking if I can find a solid section here, cut this little joint out right up top here, I might just use that rubber to replace this section here, and then the section down below that connects to the soft hose. Unfortunately, up underneath the subframe is where my last connection is. There's a clamp, like a hose clamp, on the big section here. This goes steel, and then right about underneath, I don't know, right above that red part of my suspension here, right above the subframe, it switches over to rubber. That's where I have a problem, and then this vent line here also has a problem. I'm gonna get this thing pulled out, this filler neck hopefully pulled out. All right, guys, after some hard work, I got this out. This is the, I guess, the back side of the filler neck, and then the actual neck itself. It's very, very badly corroded. I'll show you more of that here in a minute. This piece right here I have to reuse, so I'm going to try to clean it up some and put some rust inhibitor on it and just, you know, get it as close as I can get it to decent and usable until I can find a replacement. All right, guys, it is 10:30 p.m. I'm losing my voice, so I apologize for that, but you can see the inside of this completely destroyed. This is the filler neck that bolts to the inside of the fender, or the rear quarter panel. The other section of it, I'm saving it. I'm going to use that as the piece that I'm going to fabricate. I'm going to cut some steel out here and then get a piece of 1.5 inch ID stainless or steel or something and make this and weld this end to it, and we'll make a little flange to copy this one. But for right now, I'm just going to leave this hose as my filler. I had to replace this section here, was all pitted. I'm using the same pipe that the OEM piece came with. I'm just cutting it in sections, replacing chunks of it. I'm gonna get this thing cleaned off as best I can. Also, we're switching over to GoPro. We're gonna use this tool, our right angle die grinder. This thing is fantastic. We're gonna clean this off. This is the other little section of pipe that I have down there. Kind of goes over, and then, well, when this is in the car, it kind of loops down underneath the bottom edge, whatever. This has to get cleaned off one more time before we paint this or prime it, but this little guy too, we're going to clean everything up real good, hang it, spray it, prime it, paint it, reinstall it. Fuel filler neck knocked out, chilling there for a few minutes. I got my cap thing that goes on the inside. You guys can kind of see that. All nice and black. I've got my elbow knocked out, and I've got my cover all knocked out. I know the lighting sucks, but nonetheless, we're going to take our right angle grinder outside. We're going to use this, clean up the area around the brake, clean up the dust shield, clean off the caliper. I'm not going to paint any of that stuff. I'm going to replace the calipers, but I do want to clean off some of the surface rust, brake parts, clean it, compress that caliper piston. I want to go back through that thing, make sure that it operates correctly. The brakes are not dragging anymore. If they were, I've already adjusted the pedal, which is super simple. We'll kind of touch on that, but let's go out, clean up some stuff, make sure our brakes work, bring our can of parts cleaner with us, and don't worry, all these metal shavings that you see everywhere are not inside my pipes or my covers or any of the fuel system stuff. It's all been cleaned out thoroughly. We're gonna need this right here. Let's go outside and see if we can get this caliper working correctly. Well, verify that it's working correctly, and then we're gonna move on to some other stuff. What we will do is throw our fuel system back together, well, our filler neck. I got an elbow that goes in here. I've got the cover that goes here. It's all painted. My new filler neck, my pieces of hardware, and my cap and my cover that go right there, along with my rubber gasket on the inside. So I'm gonna get those things, guys. I'll show you what they look like. We'll slap that all back together. Well, guys, get to see a YouTube failure here. We have ourselves our nice painted fuel ring thing, our gasket, our filler neck. Everything's all hooked back up. It's all in there. But this caliper is toast, and it's gonna take 2 more days before it shows up. So with that, I'm going to take my gas cap. I'm gonna screw it back in there. Let this off gas the rest of the way. There's some sticky paint, but we'll get this cap in there and hopefully it doesn't dry in there too bad. Actually, you know what? We're gonna unscrew that a few. Filler neck's on. Our caliper is toast. I'm not even gonna mess around with the driver's side. This way you guys can see the offset of that ring on the inside. Yeah, that thing's toasted. I'm not going to mess around with it anymore. All right, guys, it's the next day. I got a couple of things out here I wanted to show you. First off, you saw how bad this caliper over here is. The inside of this cylinder shattered to pieces. So that thing's coming off. The bracket's coming off. And right here, I got these from Amazon, part number ZD383. These are ceramic impregnated brake pads. And then O'Reilly's got me a set of Brake Best 19 B1692 and 93 calipers. Got to figure out which ones are which here. Obviously, when you swap them, you want the bleeder to be on the top, let all the air out of the lines. We're going to go ahead and pull this thing off, swap it out with a freshie, and hopefully this solves all of our issues. I got to check the connections and the fittings. I'm going to pull some stuff apart. I'll show you what it looks like. We'll get this thing knocked out quick. Something to show you. The part right here, the 19 B1693 is the passenger side, and the other one is the driver's side, and these actually are really nice. They are coated, so I think they should fit. They look like they're the same. Everything looks like it's the same shape, same size. The port on the back of it looks like it's going to be exactly the same as the port on this. These ones came from AutoZone. They rusted immediately, and I took them off, cleaned them, and threw some paint on them. That paint has clearly come off. I mean, they're probably a year or two old now. We can go ahead, put the wheel back on once this brake caliper is swapped. Everything's bled. We got our fresh pad sitting down here. We got clips here, and the box that the new caliper came in has a set of clips, so that's cool. We'll have extra parts again. I always save those because you never know when you're going to need them. Typically, you're going to go through a few more brake pads than you will calipers in the brake pad wear cycle. But again, these are what came off, and you can see the thickness of those. And then you look at the width of the freshies. I mean, you can see inside of there, those things are really thick. So, hardware, 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 fresh calipers. Let's get after it. There's 2 things I wanted to point out. Actually 3. First, we're going to start off. These arms that I put on forever ago, the rear and forward trailing arms, make sure you guys crank those bolts really tight with some Loctite. This one moved on me on both sides, and it left the camber of the wheel kind of out. The back one loosened, but make sure you Loctite them if you use them. Number 2, the holes for this caliper bracket, they're powder coated. Whatever they stuck inside the thread holes, they didn't clean out very well. That's fine. It's easily cleaned out with a Phillips head, or not a Phillips, a flathead or a pick or something. Just run around in there. It's like dried plastic almost. Number 3, I figured out why my wheel was wobbling. Now, if you take a look, this ring is sitting flush here, but then down here it's sticking out about a millimeter. So something has happened where either there's rust buildup back here, but I cannot get this rotor, no matter what I do, to sit flush all the way around. So that's been the random vibration that I had. So I'm going to grab some sanders or something, I don't know, maybe my die grinder, clean out this opening with like a wire wheel first, and then go around the outer edge of this hub here. We'll see if we can figure this out. So I'm going to pull this back off, just got the bolts in, but still, make sure you guys, check the thread holes. Yeah, I'm going to try to clean this out, see if I can get this to sit flush. I think that's what my problem is. I didn't notice it at first, but now I do. So we're going to fix that. It's got a new wheel bearing in it, new brake caliper, new pads, good control arms. Everything's coated with stuff. It's all dirty right now, but that's besides the point. We'll get back to the caliper here in a minute. I'm going to pull this off, clean it up. So after a little tiny bit of cleaning up here, I just went around this edge very gently with this burr on my favorite tool that is not something some guy commented on in the past. It is a right angle grinder, cordless. I just went around this, cleared off the little spots where I pressed in, or hammered, pressed in, the new wheel bearing. And now this rotor fits on there nice and good. So I'm going to go ahead and throw everything back together. Bleeder sits up top. I'm gonna slap these bolts in, and then I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the other side real fast. Hopefully we can get this knocked out tonight. Now we won't have a vibration. I'll check the other side for this rotor fitment issue, because I did that wheel bearing also. I think what I did is I smudged up the spindle so the rotor did not sit perfectly flush. Stupid problem to have, but welcome to DIY, guys. I'm gonna get back after knocking this out. Well, I'm sure you guys can tell, pretty dark out here. No worries, we got this wheel put back on, the brakes are bled, everything is all set. I have to pull it off the jack stands. This side's done, got my battery charger running. This side's done. We're gonna test these out tomorrow.